What if there was a better way to view our finances? What if the story that culture's been telling us all along about money was false? And what if I told you that God has something better? Welcome to Realign. Over the past several weeks, we've talked about how you can realign your life in order to accomplish the dreams that God has planted inside of you. But if there's one thing that we've seen which has robbed more people of their destinies and kept them from their dreams, it's debt.
Whether it's the college grad with hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, or couples who have maxed out their lifestyle with a big house, nice cars, and a wallet full of credit cards, our nation is full of families who have been handcuffed by debt.
Debt has become so normal in our culture, but let me just say it's not the only way. If you're currently in debt, you can make small decisions today to help you get out and stay out. It doesn't matter how much money you have or even how much debt you have, there is a way for you to get free. So the first question then becomes, how do I get out? There are two key people that you have to bring into the process as you get started. The first is God. He has all the money in the world and He has all the wisdom in the world, so you need Him on your side. The second is an ally. If you're married, you have to get on the same page. But you also want to bring in a friend who can be an encourager, motivator, and mediator if necessary. This is going to be a tough journey, and you have to have someone in your corner to encourage you through the process. Once you have God and an ally on your side, now it's time to start getting intense about your debt and paying it off. We encourage you to use the Debt Snowball Plan, which is all about momentum. You want to start by setting aside a small emergency fund of $500 to $1,000. Next, work on your cash flow plan and find any extra money that you can so that you can put that towards your debt. Then list out your debts from smallest to largest. Don't worry about the interest rates because this is all about momentum. Then you want to attack that first debt with that extra money that you found. Just hammer it, go after it, and be intense. Once that one is completely done with, then move on to the second one. As you're going through this process of paying off your debt, remember, it's not going to be easy. It was probably really easy for you to get into debt, but in order for you to get out, it will take sacrifice. You have to get intense about getting out of debt and doing whatever it takes. Proverbs 22:7 says the borrower is slave to the lender. So if you're in debt, you are literally someone else's slave. In order to get out of slavery, it will take some major sacrifices. There are two ways to increase your ability to get out of debt faster. Increase your income or decrease your expenses. Now, if you want to increase your income, there's a couple things that you can do. The first is to work extra. This might mean taking a second or even third job, or even working overtime as much as you possibly can, or even looking into starting a small side business. The key with this one is you want to make sure that you actually make money. The second way to get out of debt faster is by decreasing your expenses. This is where the rubber meets the road and it starts to get pretty difficult. I'd encourage you to cut out all entertainment except for those things that you can do for free. This also means trimming down your lifestyle by cutting out cable, not going out to eat, and I'd really encourage you to think about not going on vacation until you're debt-free. One additional expense to attack are your fixed expenses like insurance, taxes, and your utilities. If you can cut out several $100s each month from these categories, that's like getting a good side job. In the end, you'll have freed up thousands of dollars per year that you can then throw at your debt. On our website, we've included several more ideas of how you can increase your income or decrease your expenses. Now remember, it will not be easy to get out of debt. On average, we've found it takes people anywhere from 2 to 5 years until they're completely debt-free. But the harder you work now, the more free you'll be in the long run. The key in this entire process is this little thing called desperation. There are 4 keys to remaining debt-free, and we've covered these the past several weeks. The first is to be content with the place and the provision that God has you. The second is to consistently live on a plan. The third is to save up an emergency fund. And the fourth is to trust God to provide for you. All too often, we find ourselves stuck between the promise of God and the reality that we have a bill coming due in the next few days. In that gap between the promise and the provision, we usually tend to pull back and put our trust in a bank or a credit card to provide for us. If you find yourself in this place, let me encourage you to press in, do what you are responsible for, and then trust God to provide for you.
We are Zach and Vanessa Jones.
And we've been married 6 years.
I initially stayed home and went to school to play basketball. And during that year, I was injured, had surgery, and decided to transfer to a new school, which is more expensive. And so I did that the following year. Knowing how much it cost, but not knowing in the end that I'd have to pay all that back, totaled $115,000 in school debt in a little over 4 years. And so it was kind of out of sight, out of mind, and until it really hit, and then I realized this is a lot of money.
When Parker was born, I had to go back to work, and that was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. Not being able to be with him for the first 21 months of his life. We put him in childcare, and I had to work long hours. I'd get up at 5. And be at work at 6, and then work 9 or 10 hours, and then come home, see him for a few hours before he went to bed. And that was hard. And it wasn't just hard as a mother. I mean, I think it put pressure in our relationship, and even in friendships. That was hard, because there weren't other people walking the same journey as us that we were walking closely with. And so, life narrowed really fast, but it was worth it. It's so worth it. Looking back now, it's like that was so painful and hard, but I'd do it all over again to be debt-free.
Here she is waking up super early, and then I'm having to get the kids ready because she's already at work, and then coming home, and then not seeing her kid, and it just seemed like because no one else was in that stage of life that we knew, everyone else was stay-at-home moms. To me, it just felt like this is because of me. This is because of my debt.
I think in hindsight, just this past December was our first getaway since our honeymoon. And most couples, they take every year, or couples that we know can take those kind of trips, but we didn't put any money toward vacations or trips for us to get away. We put everything towards debt. Every extra paycheck or every overtime hour worked, every tax return, everything was put towards the debt. We just wanted to knock it out. So that was a big sacrifice. I definitely feel like our story is different. When we had gone through the financial class, there were stories of families with multiple kids, having a very limited grocery list because their budget could only allow so much. But I felt like we were never robbed of, we can't eat this or can't buy this at the grocery store. I mean, we definitely had a budget, but through the whole process of paying off debt, in my mind it was extravagant the way the Lord blessed us and the way that community and life group gave to us and friends gave to us and rallied with us and encouraged us, and I just felt like it was a blessing, a huge blessing. We had even talked about at the beginning, like, we will always be a family that gives. Doesn't matter how much or how little we have, we'll always give, and when an opportunity comes, we'll ask the Lord, what can we give? And through that, I mean, we were given so much too. I think through the process, it definitely, strengthened and encouraged our faith. And even now, it's like, okay, we know the Lord's our provider. It doesn't matter what situation comes or what challenge comes, we've experienced the provision of the Lord.
If you follow what we've been teaching you the past several weeks and you choose contentment, live on a plan, have an emergency fund, and above all else, trust God to provide for you, you will remain debt-free. You don't have to be another statistic and allow debt to hamstring the dreams that God has placed inside of you. Learn to hate debt and do whatever it takes to get out and stay out.